Now moving on to layer 4, let's do a little more detailed look at layer 4. Now this handles the sending of packets between nodes that are on a network. We call this the transport layer, and the transport layer is giving me the ability to reliably transfer data. Now this is a service that's provided to the upper layer protocols, and an example of a protocol that provides this reliable service is TCP. Now TCP sits right on top of the IP protocol, which is at layer 3 of the OSI model. And one thing that you should note is that while I mentioned TCP here as a reliable data transfer service, TCP is part of the Internet Protocol Suite. It's actually not part of, or was not developed under, the OSI reference model. So the OSI reference model is nothing more than a reference model. And oftentimes we will map other protocol models up next to the OSI model to help us with teaching and troubleshooting and so on. So the Internet Protocol Suite is not a 7-layer model like the OSI model is, but we'll reference that later on. So TCP, since it was not developed by OSI and not defined within the OSI model, it does not conform to all the rules of the OSI model. There are services that are not defined in OSI at layer 4 that TCP handles. Now the transport layer controls the reliability of a link through flow control, through segmentation and desegmentation, and also through error control. These are the 3 areas that the transport layer provides reliability. Now, some protocols that we deal with are going to be state-oriented or connection-oriented protocols. And what this means for us is that the transport layer, where this occurs, can keep track of segmented data, and if the segmented data does not reach the destination, then this transport layer has the ability to retransmit those segments. Now, the transport layer also provides acknowledgments when the transmission is successful. So by doing this, we're able to verify what the next segment that should be sent will be, or if I need to resend any data. Now, the transport layer takes and creates packets out of the message that it gets from the application layer. So we can kind of see this graphic here where we've got this kind of pie chart. Imagine this as being the data that the transport layer has received from the application layer. So this data is just sort of dumped on the transport layer, and we need to packetize this data, which is what the transport layer does. Now, when I packetize data, what I'm doing is I'm taking this larger message, and as you can see these guys doing here, they're chopping it up into smaller messages. So what we end up with is some upper layer data, which is just one big chunk of data, and then the transport layer taking that data and packetizing it into smaller chunks of data. That's what the transport layer is responsible for. It segments our data.